Hi guys, this is Wences from Below the Radar Above the System, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to deal with an ENTJ if you are an INFJ. The ENTJ personality type is rather interesting to INFJs, especially because they create an I. So I've seen myself, when I see ENTJs, sometimes being like fascinated by them and wanting to know more about them. And the problem is that we should never budge. As in, if we have a firm standpoint in something and how we see things, we shouldn't like change that because the ENTJ wants us to. The ENTJ has TE as their dominant function, which is their accepting function and their truth. So efficiency is very important to them. It's important to get things done the way they know they are right and how their environment has worked on, and so they are not gonna be as open to like new ideas just by you being like kind of nicely opening up to them, and also to kind of like if you budge, as I told it, and like step a step aside or back, you're not gonna get the result you want, because they're just gonna keep on going with their state and they're not even gonna see things through your perspective, which is not necessarily something that can't be changed. And if you can make them understand your point of view in the right kind of way, you can have a really interesting bond and you can profit from one another. In socionics, we have it's called a supervising relationship. So it's asymmetrical, and we kind of profit for them, or they supervise us. That's how it's called. The ENTJ supervises us, and it has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, they create something we accept, which is an I. They create an I, we accept that, that's something we like, we understand, we think is the truth, but their dominant function, their accepting function, TE, is something we have no clue of, you know? That's like if you look at an ESFJ. A lot of ESFJs I've seen, they like me, they really like what I put out there, as in my FE, but they don't understand like where my NI is coming from and what this is all about. And the same relationship, you kind of look at ESFJs, that's how ENTJs look at us. So even if you think you're in like in a social setting where you might even be like more on top or anything like this, for them, they're always gonna view that something is missing in you, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, you can, you know, there are also romantic relationships in these two. I'm just saying they see you from a different point of view. And so it's important, if you want to have a respectful relationship, for you to really stay firm in what you believe and not try to help them, because this is what we do. We do that especially with you know, those supervising personality types or benefactory relationships. I'm going to talk about this probably in another video, but when people kind of like don't see you on their level, we kind of tend to want to help them. This is like a natural thing that happens, but it causes problems. It's not the right way to really want to try to help the ENTJ, especially because we do it through FE. And we try to be accommodating, we try to have like a nice ground and to have like a close relationship with them. But this is actually tipping them off. First off, because FE to them is kind of, I wouldn't say superficial, but it's not sincere. They feel like if you don't say something right away, the way you feel it is right now, then you're kind of being behind the bush or beating around the bush. And second of all, they have FI as their inferior function, and therefore they have a fear of feeling in general. Fear of feeling. They have this is like the one thing I can see that's like really causing the biggest problem that they have. yeah, they can have a problem with their inner state. So if you like push that boundary because of that inferior FI, so if you push that boundary and you want to get into their personal sphere, which we normally do with our FE, because we want to create a close bond, and they get uncomfortable and they kind of back off. So you want to have a good relationship with an ENTJ. Stay firm, be as honest as possible, even if it's something they don't like. They get over it. You'll see it with people, especially who are judging types, who try to put that control out there. They don't have such a big problem if you do the same thing. They accept it. They maybe get mad for a minute, but that's it. And their hidden agenda is exactly like the ENFJ, to be successful. And it's more of a, they try to, it's called to be successful, but in the end, they want to gain freedom. They want to gain freedom of being, manipulated, of being, they want to be financially independent. They want to be independent in any kind of way, because they have, especially as external judges, you have a lot of emotions on you. And also with the inferior function, there are things that like kind of like push you like this. They make you feel like smaller. So those personality types always try to be bigger and go out of themselves, and this is a necessity for them. This is what they always gonna try to do throughout their life. They want to be free, they want to expand, but that doesn't mean that if that interferes with your well-being that you're not allowed or even supposed to push back, because they also have to learn how to live in this world, because in the end of the day they're always going to be their personality type, and they have to find a way to deal with it, how we had to find a way to deal with us being INFJ. So if you feel like you have an ENTJ in your surrounding and that person is really pushing you down just by them being them, look how you can handle it. Look if you can either push back and make them, show them boundaries, because sometimes you don't put that boundary or that force back through like a lot of constant SE. That's not what we can do, but we can do it by showing them their boundaries as far as how much how efficient they are, or how believable they are, or whatever it is. If you have something that you think they're not doing right and they're pushing you down, show them that you're also not liking that, and every time somebody's pushing your boundaries, you're gonna fight back. I know this is not a natural thought of us, because we want this whole we want to have a nice atmosphere, and we want to be nice to everybody, and we don't want to fight back, but it's necessary to put those boundaries there so people know where to steer. And this is not something that is uncommon for INFJs either. Or we need those boundaries too. If somebody comes up to me and it's like directly, oh, I think you're so perfect, and I think you're so smart, and so on, and blah blah blah, and it's like, let's say a guy, of course there's gonna be of course I'll think further and think, okay, that person really actually likes me, and think about it, and I can make my conclusions, and it can be a normal relationship. But it's of course something different if you have somebody who's not directly convinced of you, who you have to kind of show what you can do, who you have to show that there's something about you that's special, or that you like. This is a human characteristic that if you want to prove yourself, or you have to prove yourself, it's not too easy, you kind of get more interested in that person, or you put them on a more similar level. That's just, I always think like, oh, how can I say that about other personality types, that we have to set boundaries and say, no further, you can't convince me that easily that you're like a great person. But we need the exact same thing. Everybody needs that, and we tend to kind of lie to people to make them feel better about what their abilities are and what we think of them. Let's say we see somebody or an ENTJ and there's something about them I don't find good, like they pretend to be those big ass, those huge characters who've achieved so much. I'm not talking about ENTJs in general, I'm just talking about a specific one. And I tend to kind of like let them feel that way because I don't want confrontation, or that's what I used to do. Now I know it's important that I show them boundaries and say, listen, this is as far as you can go. I don't believe you to that point, and if you want me to see you that way, then you have to act differently. Like, this is not something I like. If a positive relationship establishes from this one, has to be figured out. But what I can definitely tell you, what's not the right way is to be too accommodating, to try to have like a close bond with them, emotional bond coming from your side, because that makes them uncomfortable, and it actually makes them go even further away. So try to be firm, normal, and try to talk to them on those kind of levels about how, like, you can give them tips about how they should do this or that, but not get into the emotional aspects, and then you'll see how they will come to you and try to create a better emotional atmosphere, because they, as us, are emotivists. So if they like somebody in what kind of setting, they always try to evoke some kind of positive emotion. So let them do that. Okay, this is it for INFJs and ENTJs. Talk to you soon.